Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to VALORANT rostermania with G2 ShahZaM looking more and more likely by the day. FNS has responded to rumours that it won't work out particularly well by suggesting that indeed he reckons ShahZaM can do a good job at G2, but will they be the team that they need to be if they want to have success in Ascension? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Quick update here on the Red Bull Gaming kind of home ground they're doing in Manchester in only a few weeks time, actually start of December. Heretics is going to be the 7th team. They were, I believe, going to have big Berlin International Gaming here at the event instead, but given roster drama, and you know how it is, especially in EMEA right now, that team is going through, well, that roster's going their separate ways. So Heretics is going to be replacing them, and the 8th team going to be going is yet to be announced, but 100 Thieves and others are going to be there as well. So excited to see how they get on a LAN event before the season begins. Talking of events like this, there's this tourney going on right now, the some sort of showdown tourney, but basically there's some big name teams involved here. We've got Vitality, Na'Vi, definitely worthy of mention, Giants, Foot Esports, BBL, stuff like this. So plenty of organizations that are in franchising and partnership for next season. Vitality and Na'Vi both come out 2-0 in their matches, and this was kind of vintage cNed here. So definitely interesting because it's one of these players cNed that was like unbelievable on the Jet when Jet was meta, and Jet isn't obviously meta anymore, but still cNed on the Jet is unbelievable. So it's always interesting because they brought cNed in for Ardis, of course. The Na'Vi team is just the FPX team with Shao, zyppan, Angel and Sagetsu, and then Na'Vi cNed is now there, and it's kind of weird to think about it, but I mean, yeah, like cNed on the Jet is just outrageous. So obviously this worked out rather well last night. The team they're playing had Eccles, actually, kind of, you might remember 100 Thieves Eccles, even though, well, rather briefly on 100 Thieves, but nonetheless still true. So this 2v5 was pretty ridiculous. They won this series 2-0 in the end at Na'Vi, so yeah, getting some good early reps in with their roster, but yeah, do wonder what it means long term because, cNed versus Ardis was always an interesting debate when Ardis is now gone, of course, to NRG. Quick note on Fnatic, because the 6th man discussion on many teams is really open right now, and Mystic we think might be their guy. So of course Mystic was basically dropped from the team, but is not exactly clear where he's going to go next, and apparently he's open to the possibility of playing as a 6th. You can actually look here on the spreadsheets. This is like the global database, right? And for Fnatic, you guys can see Boaster, AlphaJ, Chronicle, Durka, Leo and Mini as the coach, and Mystic is actually still noted as a player signed until 2023. So there's a decent likelihood here that Fnatic will indeed keep Mystic around on their bench for the upcoming season. But also, what's the possibility of a 6-man roster being formed as a 6-man roster? Because some teams have experimented with this idea in the past. How about actually having a rotation? Like, I don't really know what is best and what I'd prefer to do. I'm kind of on the board of like having a 5-man team is best. You get the chemistry, you get the communication, you get the 5 best players in a team and you make it work. But, there is an argument to say that on certain maps and certain compositions, it's better to have one player that you can swap in certain roles and actually have a full-fleshed, 6-man team with substitutes that can come in. The issue is, does that affect communication? Like in a pressure moment, if you're going into map 7 or whatever, map 5 of a grand finals, and you bring in a player to your team, like they haven't really experienced the series so far. They haven't really been able to pick up necessarily on some of the tendencies of the opposition. Like, I don't know if that's really the way to go, but or whether it makes more sense to just have your 6th man as a substitute primarily, rather than actually a potential player who can swap in and out of the team depending on compositions and roles and different maps, right, that they might be really good on. And if you've got one player who's just unbelievable on Breeze and like it plays really well on the KO or something, then why not swap him in whenever you play Breeze? Maybe that's a viable option, and that might be the case in general. I don't really think it's going to be the case for a team like Fnatic though this season. Just to mention on Evil Geniuses, because we saw the other day that they are of course doing trials for their 10-man Valorant team. They have potentially a similar idea here. They've got their 5-man starting team and then 5 additional players. Apoth, Reformed are 2 of them. They're looking for 3 more, and anyone can apply for the qualifiers basically to actually try and get through to this, and emails have gone out to those who qualified for the next stage. So maybe you guys check your emails if you apply for this to see if you got through to the next stage of the open tryouts. And as says, thanks for the opportunity. I thought it was pretty entertaining in the replies here because it doesn't really need this opportunity necessarily. Let's talk tier 2. FaZe Poach is now gone. Released from FaZe Clan, unrestricted free agent. Poach looking for new opportunities. So yeah, this is the thing with FaZe and these other organizations. They're having to get ready pretty quick. And we believe that ShahZaM and G2 have probably been practicing now for quite some time and have got some decent experience together. Whether that team's going to be good, we shall see. FaZe, of course, should be decent, should be good. We thought for a time actually that Superman was going to be going to EG, right? We thought that maybe Superman to EG was a possibility. Now he's gone, but yeah, Poacher's out, Poised is there in, and we think they might be trialing some additional players as well. Kind of confusing situation, but these are the rosters. We know that Zoms has now stepped away also into retirement, as we saw yesterday. But this is the G2 esports roster, so we don't exactly know what it is, but there's a very solid chance, based on our understanding, that at least it's ShahZaM, dapr +3. We think that Penny and Whippy, I think, a very talented pairing as well. It is sensible there with head coach Immy, and then a fifth player we don't know. Might be Oxy, might not be Oxy, who really knows? But I think they've clearly been scrimming, right? We saw Zom say the other day he was at least practicing with his team for at least a week with their roster, and has now decided, you know what, like, it's not for me, I'd prefer not to leave Sentinels. But of course ShahZaM is leaving Sentinels because his contract's at an end, right? ShahZaM might be able to speak to Sent and say, hey, I just want to be a content creator, like, you know, can we work out a contract where I can stay under Sentinels? But ShahZaM, I think it's been pretty clear that, like, look, he wants to still compete, wants to form a new team on a new organization, and the possibility of going to G2, big org in tier 2, is a very exciting one at that. And if you are going to leave Sentinels, you're going to have a good backup plan like a G2 where that could actually make sense. So, I mean, yeah, pretty cool stuff. I think it makes sense for ShahZaM and maybe for G2 as well. Question is, are they actually going to be any good? Because these teams, all of them have to qualify through a qualifier, which is coming up soon. We don't exactly know when, but G2 don't get a free pass just because they're G2 and because they were this close to getting into partnerships before everything went wrong with the Carlos Andrew Tate drama. Then G2 find themselves entirely out of the scene. They decide, we believe, even though it's not officially confirmed at all, to be coming back into tier 2, and now they're picking up this team which should easily be good enough to qualify through the qualifiers, but some aren't so convinced, and FNS responds to someone in chat who isn't so convinced and says, you know what makes you think that ShahZaM would be a bad IGL, kind of implying that he reckons that ShahZaM could do a good job with this team.
Whoa, what is that?
Worthless.
Oh yeah.
One enemy remaining.
Not one left.
We just gave it 5 rounds.
I don't think G2 are gonna do well with Shaz's IGL. The playstyle is just so high risk, high reward. Why? What do you mean by that? How can you possibly know that?
So what are your expectations here? Because there's definitely been a lot of drama about ShahZaM and between ShahZaM and Zoms, especially recently, right, where Zoms was basically saying that ShahZaM isn't a very good IGL, and ShahZaM wasn't happy about that, and Zoms said X, and ShahZaM said Y, and they, you know, went back and forth, took some offense, and eventually got over it, I think, but I'm sure there's still some bad blood going on there. But yeah, ShahZaM as an IGL, with dapr there as well. Like, what do you guys think? Because he, of course, took a lot of flack for his IGLing style, and, you know, just the way things went with the team, and, like, it makes sense. ShahZaM was obviously frustrated getting dropped from the Sentinels roster, but at the end of the day, if you're the leader of the team and they had the success they had in 2021 and then had the woeful season they had in 2022, often the IGL is going to take a lot of responsibility for that, and is going to be forced to take a lot of responsibility, and well, he's gone. Dephh now is going to be cNed's new IGL going forwards. So can ShahZaM still do that job? What do you guys think about it? Because I know that his kind of IGLing style and abilities have taken a lot of flack, but it does seem like that's still the role he's going to play on G2. Is that the best way for them to have success, or is it not? Because, as I say, we don't know when the qualifiers start. They start relatively soon, and if you don't qualify, there's probably going to be 2 qualifiers, so G2 should have no issues, but there's a decent chance that one of the big favourites doesn't even make it, right? Because it happened last year where big name teams, some of them didn't even make it into challenges, and it wouldn't be surprising to see a similar story kind of develop this time around. G2, I don't expect to be one of those teams, and also we need the roster confirmed in the first place, but I mean, yeah, basically based on what FNS said, it does seem like he also believes that G2 ShahZaM is a possibility, right? Because he's not said, oh, you know, G2 ShahZaM, where have you heard that? Sounds like it's coming out of nowhere. He was like, oh yeah, G2 ShahZaM, like maybe he's going to be pretty good, I don't know. So yeah, it's probably going to happen, is basically the point there. Now, of course, these teams need a 6th player. The same thing with 100 Thieves. We know they've got their coach, they've got their new assistant coach in James. They do need a 6th man though, and we don't know where Will is going, right? If you kind of look at this spreadsheet here, Will is kind of one of the key free agents, but I don't believe he's appearing right now on Flynn's latest spreadsheets, and therefore I don't know where he's going to go, and there is a question whether he stays on 100 Thieves. Of course, again, they're kind of baiting and joking around here, but you know, I thought it was interesting just to hear, because I know that Will wants to go elsewhere and play on a new team, but if he doesn't get a great offer, then being at the sub for, you know, for 100 Thieves could be interesting. I just don't think it's a great idea for Will though, just because, like, Cryo replaced you, and if you stay on the bench, it's like, well, what are you trying to achieve there? You're never going to get subbed back in for Cryo Cryo, realistically, because Cryo's not going to get replaced, you would imagine. So don't know if that's really best for Will, but if he doesn't have any better offers, being the 6th man on, 100T probably isn't a bad role to have, all things considered. And also to say that Zell says he's out there in LA with the Cloud9 guys ready to go for the upcoming season, but of course it's starting quite a way from now. It's going to be more tier 2 drama before we get to that point of the season. And just to finish up with a couple of interesting things, firstly this from Willmind I thought was kind of interesting. Most played composition on Icebox in 2021 champions compared to 2022. Just interesting to even look back on this, right? Okay, Sova, Sage and Viper of course, but then the fact that Reyna and Jet were the most used agents here in 2021 at champions, to think nowadays you basically just run Chamber, right? And it's just dominance, and then you've got KO as well. So I mean, yeah, definitely interesting how it used to be a kind of a 2 duelist meta on Icebox, and nowadays that's not what you see at all. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it change again before the new season begins. And just to say, the best all-time VCT tourney is continuing on. Sentinels did win the battle against FBX, OpTic won the battle against Gambit from Masters 2 2022, and then PaperX are winning the battle against Ascends. Not sure that's entirely fair, I think it's more 50-50, but still, it's going to be PaperX, OpTic, Sentinels, Loud through to the semi-finals of the tournament. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.